I am going to be reacting to another video. Will actually not help your cause. On an average, I think I would give this. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Aditi Guha, your weight loss coach, and in this channel we talk everything about weight loss, hormonal balance and PCOS. So in today's video, I will be doing something a little different from usual. I am going to be reacting to another video, and this is a video by Beer Bicep on PCOS/PCOD diet science plus free plan for weight loss. That's what the video is called. I shall be reacting to this. The reason I wanted to do this is because there is a lot of information that is there on the net when it comes to PCOS, and in fact this was one of the videos that came up in my search on YouTube, and there was a guy doing this video, so I was very intrigued, and I think it has a lot of interesting points, but there are some things that require an update of information, and that's why I choose to react to this particular. So the way the reaction is going to be divided is, first I will be reacting as he speaks in the video, and then I shall summarize my points, and third I shall give you an alternative if at all required. So before I dive into the video, I shall react to the title of the video. So it's the long title of this video is PCOS diet science plus free plan for weight loss / PCOS cure diet. And this is the first point that I want to make a note of, is that PCOS cannot be cured. It is to be managed. Curing means it is an illness or a disease. It's like a flu. PCOS is not a flu. It's a lifestyle disorder, and therefore it needs to be managed properly.
Creating a diet plan and exercise regime seems like something very difficult, but trust me, it's not. It's just about following a few basic steps to make your body better than it was yesterday.
So one thing that I'm going to start off anyway, which is not mentioned, I don't know how the video is going to go through, and he's saying that it's going to be, you need to make some basic changes to your weight loss. So what I just want to say is that the best way a meal plan can be designed for PCOS/PCOD is that if it follows a root cause based analysis. If you watch this particular video of mine where I take you through the different types of PCOS, you have to understand that you have to treat for them and not some random fitness diet.
It is one of the most common problems faced by girls in modern day society, and the only way we can eliminate such a problem is with mass education. So make sure you get yourself educated first.
So I quite like this point where he is making this point that is about education, that we can make people more aware, and I really agree with it. PCOS is a kind of topic which almost makes a lot of women feel very isolated and confused, and I think it's pretty commendable that a guy is doing this video, because it kind of normalizes the conversation around this topic.
One good way to educate yourself further on this topic, especially if you're struggling with weight loss along with PCOS, would be to take my weights root cause quiz. It will give you your dominant root cause along with what meal, nutritional plans, supplements and lifestyle measures you can take to achieve your ideal body weight.
Almost every girl who's suffering from PCOS also suffers from insulin resistance. To understand this term better, first you need to understand the function of insulin in your body.
So here he's talking about how insulin resistance is one of the biggest causes of PCOS. And while he is right, if you watch this particular video, you will see that I mentioned that there are certain cases where women actually have far more hormonal imbalance versus insulin resistance. In fact, they don't have that kind of insulin resistance, which leads to what is known as the lean PCOS.
So your body takes that little bit of sugar and converts it into energy very rapidly. But in order to convert it into energy, in order to convert all that glucose into usable energy, your body needs to create an insulin spike. Now, regular insulin spikes in your bloodstream through consuming sugar or high GI food is very bad from a fat loss perspective. It'll make it very difficult for you to lose fat and keep a lean body in the long term.
So he does describe insulin resistance correctly, and it is true that if you have sugar and if you have simple carbs, you may get insulin spike. That's true, but that's not the full story. And this is what you should know about insulin resistance. When anyone has that, one of the biggest symptoms of it is craving for sugar, craving for simple carbs, and craving for potatoes go up. At one point of time, I used to run something called the No Sugar Challenge. and I actually stopped running it because I realized, one, it was only relying on willpower, because for some people they have an imbalance that needs to be addressed first from a root cause before you tell them to stop doing it. And number two is that a lot of people, when they stop having sugar, they actually increase their carb consumption, which actually doesn't give any result. And this brings me to point number two, where he's talking about have high GI carb.
But these insulin spikes are also caused because of high GI carbohydrates. Every single carb in the world is rated using sugar as the reference. So the carbs which cause a similar effect as sugar are rated higher on the GI scale. The closer they are to 100 in terms of value, the bigger the insulin spike you'll get in your bloodstream. So the ground rule is that you want to avoid sugar and you want to avoid all high GI carbohydrates.
High GI is a concept that a lot of people make a mistake of, which is why a lot of people stop having white sugar and substitute it with honey or jaggery. The point with GI is that yes, this is an index, but how much you have of that particular GI food will actually determine the GI load. For example, if you have watermelon and you just check with the GI of watermelon, it will be actually pretty high. But one slice of watermelon, the load of GI is pretty low. Therefore, to abandon having fruit and having something like brown rice, but you're having twice the quantity of it than usual, will actually not help your cause.
Now, as a girl suffering from PCOS, because your insulin levels are always raised a little bit, it messes up your hormonal system entirely. That's why when doctors tell you that PCOS is a hormonal problem, they mean this. It's this perpetual high level of insulin in your bloodstream.
So here he mentioned that PCOS is a hormonal problem. The truth is PCOS is also considered to be hormonal plus endocrinological problem, because there is an endocrine element of it, because some people with PCOS may also have thyroid. Like I have mentioned in this particular video, and I highly recommend that if you are diagnosed with PCOS, please go and watch this, because it'll enlighten you in a lot of ways. PCOS has many dimensions of it, and this is something that when it comes to with any kind of craving, you have to understand that PCOS craving is also triggered not just by insulin, it is actually triggered also by inflammation, and it can also be triggered by adrenal fatigue. All of them can actually increase your sugar craving and thereby increase your insulin resistance.
What you need to remember is that your job now is to kind of normalize your insulin levels. And how do you do that? You do that by fixing your diet. You want to avoid all those spikes in insulin thanks to your diet. Remember, your insulin is already high. So your job as someone who's suffering from PCOS is to, one, avoid all those insulin spikes thanks to the sugar and the high GI food. And two is to reduce your fat percent. Insulin resistance usually happens because of a higher fat percent than normal. So you need to go at this with the intention of weight loss.
So on this advice, another point that I want to make here is that a lot of high GI carbs are also very hard to digest, and a lot of people with PCOS also suffer from constipation and other gut health issues. That is exactly why this advice actually does not help people with PCOS. A lot of women with PCOS do quite well actually with simple carbs like white rice and potato, because it's far easy to digest. When you are not digesting a particular food, you will have more spike. Now, when it comes to the advice of reduced body fat percentage, I think that's a good advice, but only because body fat percentage also asks us to address and look at various other aspects beyond just the weighing scale. You will have to not only look at your diet, but you will have to do a certain type of workout to get it. So this advice of reducing body fat percentage is right, but yes, if you are insulin resistant, it is harder to reduce body fat percentage.
Learn everything there is to know about carbs and learn which the low GI carbs are, which the high GI carbs are, all the foods that are listed in the two groups, and obviously avoid sugar at all costs.
A lot of people actually can't even digest legumes or multigrain bread or wheat. Again, when it comes to this multigrain bread and wheat, it's very important to understand that how processed has the food been. The extremely processed food, no matter where you get it from, can cause inflammation, and that is something to be very mindful of. Therefore, don't look at food as good or bad. You should always look at food as comfortable or uncomfortable. And inflammation makes certain type of food very uncomfortable for us. In my experience, a lot of women find certain types of low GI carbs quite uncomfortable because they are unable to digest. So you need to figure food that is very easy to digest as well. And when it comes to reduction of cravings and stuff like that, you need to focus more on what you're eating and how you're eating rather than eliminating food blindly. So now we are coming to the diet review, and I'm actually going with the description that has been kept in the description box of this video, and I will be reviewing it on 5 parameters. One is, what is the nutritional composition, satiety of the food, impact on gut health, sustainable, that is whether you can do this for really long, and the last one is going to be on overall calorie composition. So here he is suggesting that for breakfast it should be 1 small serving of fruit plus a protein. What I would rather recommend is a person either sticks with conventional carbs and protein, and the reason with fruit is, first of all, it's raw, and therefore as to eat a raw food for the first thing in the morning, it actually can cause more digestive issue. And a lot of people are not able to digest raw food, so they basically need a lining in the food. And as I have mentioned earlier, people with PCOS can have poor gut health. Therefore, it's important that they actually have more cooked food first thing in the morning. But in case somebody wants to have fruit, I prefer pairing it up with fat, because that has the lowest impact on insulin. Eggs are fine, protein shake is okay, and 3 whole eggs is also okay, but upma I am not 100% convinced, because upma itself is more carb. The way we know a food is more carb or protein is when you basically check the nutritional composition, what is it leaning towards, and upma is leaning towards more carbs than protein. So no, I don't like all the suggestion that is there, but you can take some of the protein, you can have actually the eggs and upma if you like. That's a better option, and I would really avoid the fruit. Okay, for lunch he's suggesting lean protein like 2 to 4 egg whites, chicken breast, fish, paneer, complex carbs, dal and salad. Okay, so now this food is okay, but honestly I feel like a lot of people, again with PCOS, will not do very well with this particular diet. Only for the complex carb, I would actually replace the complex carbs with more simple carb. If you are including enough protein in your diet, you will automatically not have. But the biggest challenge with this diet is that it has only fiber in the form of salad. I again believe that it is very important to have more cooked vegetable, again from a gut health perspective. Again, I would say no, I would not really recommend complex carbs, again from a gut health perspective. And when it comes to protein, fish is great, paneer is fine, eggs are fine, but when it comes to chicken, I think you should try curry cut. One thing you have to understand, fat is not a problem for people with PCOS. Fat is actually very good for hormones, especially it works fantastic for your estrogen, it works really good for your ghrelin and leptin. So therefore, I would really recommend a curry cut when it comes to the chicken. Okay, for snack time, he has recommended that we have 1 complex carb and tea with sugar. I don't know what is the snack time definition. Again, this is a really bad one. First of all, one rule to remember when it comes to carb, especially if you have PCOS, never have your carbs alone. Carb has to be accompanied. So if you are having a toast, it has to be accompanied with, say, something like avocado or maybe egg whites or something, or full eggs, whatever. If you are having upma, I would put a lot of vegetables. I will have it with chutney along with it. If you are having multigrain, whatever, any bowl of oats, again, I would add some other stuff to it, because the rule that has to be remembered is carbs shouldn't be had alone. Second thing is, I actually do not recommend tea in the evening as an evening snack. The issue again is, if you watch this particular video, a lot of people with PCOS also tend to have adrenal fatigue, and therefore they need to have a very strong caffeine curfew. I really recommend no tea, coffee or any kind of stimulant after 3 p.m. because a lot of people with PCOS actually suffer from insomnia. You will notice that if you have PCOS, you may wake up feeling tired, but when it comes to bedtime, you don't fall asleep very fast. Now, he has gone on and on about avoiding sugar per se, but I don't know why they're recommending with 1 teaspoon of sugar. In fact, the rule of the thumb is if you really have to stop any or avoid any sugar in any form, it should be in the liquid form. Because when you are biting any kind of dessert, there is an effort because there are enzymes in your mouth which also are in the process of digestion. But when you have something like liquid, which is like fruit juices or sugar in your tea, there is a far more instantaneous spike for the insulin, and also it doesn't have any nutritional value. So this is something that actually should be avoided. Now for post-workout, he's again suggesting a small bowl of fruit. Again, I think it's a pretty bad advice. I'm not sure why would you have a fruit after a workout. If you follow an intense workout regime. First of all, if you have PCOS, you should avoid doing an intense workout regime because again, you might be having adrenal fatigue. It just increases your cortisol. You will not see any result. And after workout, if you are having fruit, you will also not be seeing result. The most important thing post-workout one needs to do is have resistant starch. So starch that actually acts more like a prebiotic, it gets digested inside your stomach. So something like mashed potato as a carb is good, but you should definitely have protein. And the last one is about dinner. It should be lunch, but you should be avoiding carb and replace carb with salad. I personally don't see any problem with carbs in lunch or dinner. One can have it. Having just salad and this just doesn't work for many people. Again, from a gut health perspective, carbs are not bad, and you have to if you have PCOS, you need to work with a healthcare professional to figure your carb threshold. So that's important. I have 80% of my clients actually have PCOS. They eat carbs, especially white rice, sometimes both times if they like it. And that doesn't affect weight loss, that doesn't affect managing PCOS. So I think these kind of videos also end up giving a very bad rep to carbs because you're blindly following low GI, high GI, no GI. That's not how the body actually processes. This is something that actually works for men. This entire diet might work very, very well for guys, but this is not a diet that might work very well for women with PCOS. So when it comes to nutritional composition, I think the food that has been suggested is really good, but it does miss out a lot on prebiotic and probiotic. I don't see a mention of curd or cooked vegetables. So that's a problem, or resistant starch. So that's one thing that is missing. So on this, I'll probably give it a 0.5. When it comes to satiety, I think the diet does well in lunch and dinner, but the breakfast and evening snack will not leave you satiated, and in fact, this may just lead to way more craving than you actually want. So on this, I'll probably give it again 0.5. Now, when it comes to gut health, I feel like this diet has zero consideration for the fact that people with PCOS actually have a tendency to have a poorish gut health, and therefore I would give it a 0. When it comes to sustainability, I don't find this diet 100% sustainable because it is without carbs and only having salad instead of having cooked vegetables. So, and if you don't have carbs ever for dinner, I don't see this to be very sustainable. So again, 0.5. Now, when it comes to overall calorie composition, this is going to be a tricky one and an interesting one. I think when it comes to the lunch and dinner, the way it is designed, it's very hard to overeat, especially if you're having protein. So to some extent, the breakfast if people are adding the protein, but it's the evening snack which will actually lead to a lot more consumption of food. And so again, from a calorie composition, I would put it as a 0.5. So on an average, I think I would give this entire meal plan for PCOS perspective a 2 out of 5. If you're someone who wants to manage your PCOS properly, I would highly recommend to start with my weight loss quiz first, because it will tell you what could be the root cause of your weight, and it also comes with a plan for nutrition, for lifestyle, and for supplements. It's very important to understand that PCOS is a lifestyle issue and there are multiple root causes, and please check out this particular video because it will give you a lot more clarity on various symptoms. And I shall see you